Switch control. Switch control is a robust and highly customizable feature that is built into iOS in order to make the interface accessible to individuals who require alternative input methods. Even if a person can't perform the precise taps and other multi-touch gestures that are required to use the iOS interface on an iPad or an iPhone, they can still perform the same actions with switch control, but typically they will do so by selecting from a menu of on-screen options and pressing physical buttons that allow them to make a selection. There are a number of ways you can set up your switch devices to work with switch control. Here I'm using two switches. One switch will advance the cursor, while the other one will allow me to make a selection. Both of these switches are connected to a switch interface that communicates with the iPad over Bluetooth for a wireless connection. Switch control supports a number of access methods. Here I'm going to begin with manual scanning, as this is the method that most people will likely start with because it doesn't have the timing requirement of other options. With manual scanning, you'll require two switches, since one switch will advance the cursor while the other one will allow you to make a selection, and you'll be in control of when the cursor moves. Here I'm going to press one switch, which I've named Stepper in my settings, to step through the different rows in the home screen. When I get to the row that has the option that I want, I'll press my other switch, which I've called the Picker in my settings. I'll repeat this process to navigate by column, pressing the stepper to move through each column, and then the picker to make a selection. I'll perform these same steps to navigate the interface inside the app. While I'm on this page, I'm going to show you the Recipes feature. This is a feature that allows you to perform repetitive actions without having to rescan. I'm going to press my picker to bring up the scanner menu with all the options that I can perform on this page. And then within the scanner menu, I'm going to navigate to Recipes. Again, I'll navigate by row first, make a selection, and then go in by column. Here I'll choose Recipes. And then there's already a recipe that's built into switch control for turning the pages. Recipes puts switch control into a special mode where each time I press the switch, it will perform the same action. For example, here I can press my stepper, and that will flip the page from right to left. And if I press the picker, it will flip the page in the opposite direction. I've also configured my picker so that if I hold it down, it will exit this special recipes mode and go back to manual scanning in the typical fashion. Once you're comfortable with the timing, you can go from manual scanning to auto scanning. And with auto scanning, the cursor will move on its own, and you just need one switch to make a selection. Whenever you open an app that is not switch accessible, switch control will switch into a special mode called point mode. With point mode, you'll see a gliding cursor that will slide from side to side and from top to bottom. Using this gliding cursor, you can choose any point on the screen that you want to interact with. Like so. You can also switch back and forth between point mode and item mode, which is the default, from the scanner menu. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, switch control is highly customizable. By going into settings and finding the switch control option under accessibility, you can change the scanning style, you can adjust the timing, you can enable audio effects, or turn on the speech at the same time so that you get audio prompts as the scanner cursor moves around. You can decide how items are grouped on the scanner menu that shows you the on-screen options that you can choose from, and you can change the appearance of the cursor by making it bigger and changing its colors. Every switch user is different, but with the many options available in settings for switch control, you should be able to find the configuration that works just right. For a comprehensive guide to switch control, including information on how to set up switches, as well as examples of switch control in daily use, check out the free multi-touch book Hands Free from Christopher Hills and yours truly, available in the iBooks store.